Fundibular hypophyseal area, right from sella up to the ventricles, it can go. So this is basically a diencephalon with a form a pouch, and from the stomodium in plate they form another pouch, and they form the pituitary at one part, and another part is forming the infundibulum and posterior pituitary. That is the area where we get the embryological craniopharyngioma. So you know, there are two varieties of cranioma. Most important is adamantinoma, and the superficial layer is very difficult because that is keratinization, and that forms all calcification, tooth, bones, and cyst. And the most important thing is that this tumor is extra glial. You always get some clearance to operate on the patient. And papillary variety is a little bit of easier for the surgeons to work on. And you know the SAMIS classification easier for us because if it is in intracellular or intradiaphragmatic, you can go through it endoscopically. If it is supradiaphragmatic, basically it is difficult for go for endoscopic like us. We are most of the time busy with the microsurgery. So what is the most important is a permanent tumor control, and the cure is the mainstay. Optimal treatment strategy is still controversial. Extent of tumor dissection, role of radiation, all these things depends upon the different situations. Gross total dissection should be attempted and done as much as possible, but not at the cost of postoperative radiological deficit. Categorization and extent of the tumor group to be considered with clinical radiological assessment to determine approach and practices. There are four components in the craniopharyngioma. One is the optical system, one is the endocrine system, one is the hypothalamic system, one is the limbic system. This optical system and the endocrine system can be compensated and controlled. But devastating situation is the hypothalamic system and the limbic system, particularly when the young children approach to the adult, it is a tremendous amount of social and economical problem. So when we do the tumor with the surgeons, we must know if it is in the grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3 category, we don't need to do anything. If it is a grade 4 and grade 5 category, after surgery, maybe we have to go for radiosurgery and different type of other treatment like all these interferon implementation and all this. So, why microsurgery? Better handling of giant lesions, greater assessment of the status of the tumor and its relation to the neurovascular structure. Retrocranial extension can be better dealt with in the giant tumors, better dissection in case of recurrent tumors owing to the tough condition. The different types of trajectories are there. Everybody should be familiar. The one we are mostly familiar with the pterional approach with a little bit of extension by cutting the zygomatic arch or orbital ring. So these are the different varieties. We will go for quick things. Minimum brain retraction and use, but we feel that after opening the sylvian fissure from the lateral to the medial aspect, all systems should be open like optico-chiasmatic system, like optico or carotidotentorial system, lamina terminalis, all should be open, then you start the tumor. So these are the different type of anatomical situation during the tumor. So there are a lot of approach. I will go first because every disease are very common approach. I will strictly go to the surgical. Our series is here about 26 tumors we have done. Gross total dissection was most of the cases and subtotal dissection was less. So these sorts of complications are happening almost in all cases. So if you review the literatures, most of the surgeons who are going directly to the surgeries, they all have got a lot of complications, but it is the only answer. There is no other answer for craniopharyngioma to remove as much as possible. We had a case, 10 years boy, who got to us with headache and features of the raised intracranial pressure. This is the preoperative MRI. This is the surgery. See, you will always get an arachnoid plate and always try to, what I feel that to prevent the pituitary stalk resection, Most important at the time of doing surgery, the surgeons are not very much difficult in relation to the chiasma and perichiasmal area, but most of the problem is at the time of behind towards the hypothalamic area. If you develop the bilateral hypothalamic lesion, definitely patient is going to develop the obesity. And patient will have tremendous amount of cognitive impairment. Recurrence is most of the time is there, but out by the fear of recurrence, no one will go the partial resection. Most of the patients, if possible to detect early, should go for near total or gross total resection, but not at the cost of damage to the normal structure. If the normal structures are there, then you can damage, then you can go for subtotal resection and can keep some option for the radiotherapy. But other things like baclofen, bleomycin, all these things are more a hypothetical and theoretical rather than reality. Neurosurgeon should never get escape of doing a lesion to be out. Always remember, neurosurgery is the first time, is the best time, is the last time. Recurrence is sometimes is a must, but I believe more if you look at the Majid Shami, if you look at the Yashaki, if you look at the Spacela, their result is more or less 99.99%. If you look at the textbook, human's textbook, you feel very much excited to do the surgery. But when you come to the conference and see a lot of things here and there, then you feel a little bit of different. But what I feel, if the case selection can be done, one can do most of the surgery very nicely. For a neurosurgeon, surgery is the answer. So what I feel, that we are doing these sorts of cases. Now after removing the cases, now if you have a mirror or angle endoscopy, you can see retrochiasmally if you can keep some lesion if it is there. Otherwise, most of the tumor can be sorted out if the brain is lax, and if we can find out all these 6-7 triangles are there around this area, if we can go, those are the safe zone to go. If we can go like that, so maybe we'll be able to remove the tumor. The tract is quite clear now. Now again, the Hoffman's classification is necessary after radiological surgery. So this is the post-operative CT scan. This is the post-operative MRI. Another cases where there is a cystic papillary type variety, we could not do it totally, but we could do subtotally. So this is the ball. So what I say in the conclusion, the frontotemporal approach is the most familiar approach to the neurosurgeon, and surprisingly it can be used to access many of these giant tumors. It is no point trying to be heroic in dissecting the entire mass going to the dense adhesion to vital neurovascular structure, though GTR should always be attempted. Intraoperative flexibility of the surgeon's mindset is wiser at times. Have something for the radiation oncologist. Complications like DI tend to be settled down to half of the postures, where the other half may require lifelong supplementation. Serial follow-up is important. Last but not the least, meticulous, ultra careful, and painstaking microsurgery rarely fails to disappoint. What I feel, that first two parts, as I said, that the optic system and endocrinological system can be compensated, but it is really difficult for the hypothalamic and the limbic system, which really make the patient worse when the child progresses to adult. It's an awfully difficult job. Thank you very much.